welcome to a very spooky weekly update. I'm your host, MVG Tom Morgan. We are talking about Teams development, and I cannot keep this voice up for 10 minutes. So, let's get into it. Couple of things to tell you about. Everything we're talking about today is slightly scary or slightly ghoulish or slightly bad news, which is not actually how I had it planned. It's just the way it's worked out. So, first things first. I can barely see this screen. Microsoft 365 developer program, Sandbox update. So, problems around the Sandbox. It seems like a whole bunch of admin accounts have expired. If this has happened to you, you may now not be able to get into your developer tenant. It's worth going to check and see if this has happened to you. It's a bit unclear as to whether it's just expired through inactivity or whether everybody is expired. That's not immediately clear from the blog post, but if it has happened to you, the answer from Microsoft is to go and get another account. That would mean you lose everything in your existing account. I don't know if there's a way around that. I don't know if there's any process for getting that stuff back, but that's what Microsoft is saying. That's what you need to go and do, is to go and fix that. You need to go and your admin account has already been expired, basically, is what Microsoft is saying in the blog post. So you don't need to go and do anything. It's just if you want to have a developer tenant again, you need to go and create a new one. And you'll be able to do that because your previous account has expired, because normally Microsoft kind of stop you having lots and lots of developer tenants. So that's the first thing. So kind of bad news if you came to come and use your developer tenant and found that it's expired, because you now need to go and find a new one. All right, let's talk about something else. There's a new learning series blog post. Gosh, it's surprisingly hard when you can't see anything. A new learning series blog post all about using GitHub and using GitHub in Visual Studio. Now, why is this scary and ghoulish? I hear you say, because I did say at the beginning of this, everything would be scary, and this does not sound scary. There is one statistic that is scary, which is that a shocking, what is it? I can't even see. I want to say it's 34%. You can probably see it in the blog post. You can probably see better than I can. It's in this blog post somewhere. A shockingly high percentage of people use Visual Studio without any source control whatsoever, which is terrifying and scary. So if that is you and you're doing it, I mean, it's hard with telemetry, right? Because yes, you might be doing it and it's just a completely throwaway thing and nobody really cares. But if you're doing it for real and you are saving your files as, .1, .2, .3 before change, after change, this seems to work. Stop doing that. Please learn how to use GitHub. Your life will be immeasurably better if you just put in the effort to just kind of do a little bit of knowledge just to figure out exactly how it works. Just a little bit, just a small amount. Then yes, your life will be much better for it. So there's a nice learning series there on how to use GitHub and Visual Studio together that you can take and use, and hopefully that will be helpful to you. Okay, where's that mouse cursor gone? All right, let's do something else. This really is sad news, actually. Jo Foley is leaving ZDNET, and actually what isn't covered by this story is that she's also leaving Windows Weekly. So for ages, 16 years, Jo Foley has been homed at ZDNET, and all her articles have been at ZDNET. She's actually been reporting for a lot longer than that, but she hasn't always been at ZDNet. I've always accessed her stuff by going to allaboutmicrosoft.com, which I believe is a domain she owns, and then she just kind of redirects it to wherever she's homed at. Because I can remember back in the day going to All About Microsoft, and it didn't go to ZDNet. It went somewhere else. Anyway, she is not going to be at ZDNet anymore. And also, as I mentioned, Windows Weekly is a podcast that she does with Paul Thurrott and Leo Laporte. She is also, as I understand it, leaving that as well. What is she doing? Where is she going? My first thought, actually, when I read this and heard the Windows Weekly article, I actually thought she was retiring. But that is not the case, which I'm very pleased to hear. She is going to Directions on Microsoft. Now, if you may or may not know, she already does a blog post with Directions on Microsoft, talking in the main about licensing, and it's a really interesting podcast, actually, going into the detail of licensing. And licensing around Microsoft and how that works. And so that's a good podcast anyway. I imagine it's going to get a lot more frequent and a lot better as she kind of leads into that. But from everything I understand, the work that she's going to be doing, she's going there as editor-in-chief. And as I understand it, the workload there is just going to be so high that she is not going to have time to do things like Windows Weekly as well. So this blog post is an interesting look back on 16 years. It's an interesting insight and some of the highlights and interesting points through that 16 years, as well as some good pictures. So if you follow Mary Jo Foley's reporting, and if you don't, you should, because it's the best way to know what's going on in the entire kind of Microsoft ecosystem. Then that's worth a read. The video is worth a watch, and I think certainly from me, and hopefully from all of you as well, best of luck with what is coming, Mary Jo. You'll smash it, I'm sure, and we'll be watching to see what you do. All right, so. What else is up? I can't find my mouse cursor. There it is. Oh yeah, the last thing I'm going to leave you with. It's not specifically around Teams development particularly, but it is about development. And this is a thing that scares me. Scary is the wrong word. It annoys me, and it's one of those annoying things, those little niggles that hopefully somebody at least at Microsoft is working on sorting out. Copying code. So Control-C, Control-V, copying code. And 9 times out of 10 when I do this, I have this exact problem where you copy the code and then you paste it and the indenting and the formatting is all off. And it is scary. It is spooky scary. Luckily, somebody at Microsoft has kind of thought to solve this problem with some technology. They've made a little plugin. It's not part of Visual Studio yet, but that would be amazing if it did. In the meantime, you can go and download this little add-in, this little plugin for Visual Studio. It ensures that when you select a whole bunch of code and copy it, it will correctly copy what you probably meant to copy. Because most of the time, the formatting problem, when you come to paste it and the formatting doesn't work, the problem was actually your fault because you didn't copy all of the spaces from your source. Normally at the front, like the top bit, you miss off the tabbing, so then everything kind of gets out of kilter. What this will do will ensure that you actually copy what you thought you'd copied or you meant to copy. So sounds like a great idea. It sounds like it's going to work really well. So I'm interested to try it, but I wanted to pass it along. I only found out about it last night, so I'm passing it along before I've actually tried it. But it does sound like a great idea. And like I say, it's not yet part of the product, but I think that would be pretty cool if it did become part of the product. So we'll have to wait and see how that works. But yeah, thought I'd leave you that one. All right. I think that's everything from me. This is far too hot to stay in for any length of time. So I'm going to say have a great week, whatever it is you're doing. Have a spooky week if that's you. And have a busy and productive week if it's not. And I will see you again next time.